And in that money, the member of parliament has got between 30 and 40 million for roads. You know, don't know the ball. It is so sweet for a voter to know their money. Soon, the voter will be asking the MP to justify that money.
Yeah.
That is how we need to handle devolution. Don't bring the money and amorphously throw it in the governor's office. Take this money with PFM, with the IFMIS, bring it down to the governor's office, take it to the ward.
Mheshimiwa, you can't get away with this one. The money that I know that is budgeted for out of the appropriation bill in the counties does not go to the governor. It goes to the county. And in fact, it does not go to the county. It goes to the central bank, and it is administered through the IFMIS, and it's administered with the controller of budget.
Thank you. You helped me. Wait. You helped me.
So our problems...
I will change it a bit.
Having
been a speaker, I'll change it for you a bit
problems,
to understand how it goes wrong.
Yes, our problems are big.
The problem was the stalemate of the IMIS.
No. Allow me to help you. I have to help you because you are making a mistake on my part. I was trying to simplify it for the ordinary Mwananchi to understand. The truth is, even when the budget is done and the assembly approves it, it is normally the governor who influences which money is going to go where. Whether he influences by bribing the MCAs, whether he influences by giving projects to the MCAs. What I am saying is we must have a system, and I'm using the structure. I'm not saying that CDF money is not eaten. We must have a system where, if from the budget you held last year, budget program, you said you are going to build a primary school in a place called Nyambera, for example, in Kisi. When that money comes, the line of expenditure
goes to
Nyambera.
That's
Why? Because
works.
the money goes to the central bank.
Yes.
The central bank, with the authority of control of budget, releases that money to the account whereby that money actually will land at that school called Nyambera.
And that's how
the
CDF
commercial
works.
bank which pays, I'm making an assumption here, using the CDF as a structure. You have a code.
Yeah.
The code guides where that money goes under CDF. Under the county, there is no coding of the projects which are done. The governor can decide to shift using IFMIS. In fact, the other day, Council, the other day when we were sitting with members of the National Intelligence Service and we were discussing vulnerabilities of our software in the country, they said the most vulnerable, most weakest, most useless system is IFMIS. They can hack it in 15 seconds.
And that's a national system.
Yes.
But let's come back to this issue. And I want, again, this is the place to put this conversation. I have a problem with CDF fund. I will have a problem with ward fund. Why? What does CDF do? It funds roads, it funds police stations, it funds school infrastructure, and sometimes health facilities, infrastructure. So, what is the business of the Ministry of Health when it comes to those things?
Education.
And the Ministry of Education when it comes to those things? Because the money still goes to education, for infrastructure, and so on. So what I'm saying is this, let us agree. And the MPs are here.
Let me just
let's agree. If the ward is our unit of development,
yes,
let us make it so. So that every allocation, whether national, whether county, is done at the ward level. So that we only leave things that are national, for example, national roads, or things that are national hospitals, things that are regional, county, so that those things go. But for things that we are talking about, we have duplication. That's what I'm saying. Okay. There's money being allocated in terms of double sense. In fact, between an MP sometimes and an MCA, the same road is attributed to two people. Now, what is happening is that I will take money, put it on this road, and the MP will take money, put it on that road, or I will not even put it there, but I will claim it is there. So there is a place we now must revisit.
Very wonderful. Finish and then I can just add a footnote.
One of the things that we have to appreciate, I think, and it's good now to go deeper to understand each structure. First of all, they don't deal, SDF doesn't deal with roads or health. It just deals with schools and security. And each school has its own committee. When they say priority X, we want to buy a cup, that is what will go to their proposal to their strategic plan of that year, that this is what they want to do. And when the money comes, it doesn't come in anybody's account. It goes directly
to the school.
To the school, and what they wanted to buy was this amount. It is voted exactly. So each school has its account on how they do it. After they finish, the money will remain there. They cannot even touch.
Until CDF,
yes. You cannot touch that money. You cannot remove it to allocate it, to go and take it, I don't know, to another school. Never. It will remain. They will ask the school whether they have another project that can consume this money. And they have to bring in that proposal, and it will go very clear in the books that this money was meant for this. But since this was done and the remainder was this, it has been allocated to this. We are saying it is time the county governments can borrow that structure.
Thank you.
That if Ward X, and that is why the ward fund, and by the way, I will agree, principally, what Senior is saying is very good. But this tribalism of ours up to the counties where we look at clans and everything has made even you can find one ward the governor has never stepped in, even one time. But if the ward fund was there and the money was meant, 20 million was meant for this, it will go. It is not that the MCA is touching the money. It is that just money has gone for that project in that ward. And therefore, as much as we say there is duplication, there is none. So today, if you ask the Ministry of Education, which school have you ever built? Which one? When you look at the ones they tried doing, the desks, you know they were bringing 50 desks. When you bring 50 desks to one school, how are you going to, and each school has 3 streams. How?
So what Mheshimiwa is saying is that let's remove certain, but by the way, our constitution says this very clearly, that the national level and the county government level can delegate functions to each other. The county can delegate up, and the national can delegate down.
Yeah.
So why don't we agree? And I want to agree that let schools be built by CDF. Then let's move the money that is in education for school
to CDF.
To CDF.
Absolutely.
So that we don't have it here and have it there.
That one we will move.
Thank you. What for me, Dibal,
I agree,
Dibal, how I wish that the conference would be discussing right now is about what we are all talking about here. Because, like he said, there are certain things in our constitution that unless we deal with them, we are not moving. There are certain things that we must do.
Yeah.
And when I'm saying, my leader, when I'm saying I'm talking about CDF, please, and I know, and I remember Charles Nyeshai telling us when he was the head of CIO, CDF is illegal. Let me tell you, my brother, you are an intellectual, you are out here, you've never run for elections. I cannot go to Kisi and start and discuss issues of policy, LGBTQ. You know, now we are talking about FGM. Thank you, clap for me, I go home. Wananchis in Africa are not ready to receive words.
They want action.
They want action and words. If I talk about policy and they finish and say, oh, you said that toilet you want me to down. Where is the chairman of CDM? Muse, iyo choo itengenezo ni sawa, sawa. That is the don't take this European model and think that that is the panacea of what works in our Africa.
I think we're in agreement.
Thank you. What we are saying, reduce the duplication.
Yes.
Let us agree what the governor can handle financially. Make sure that there are structures in place where government technocrats continue working. Even when the governor is left, he doesn't come in and remove the technocrats who are hired by the governor before him. So that the workers of the county governments understand that this is a government that is supposed to be functioning. The workers of the county governments today know that you are here temporarily.
Okay.
Until you are clansman, when he goes, then you also.
So we're in agreement.
No, just a moment. Let me rope in, because you're talking about continuity.
Yes.
But even the governors themselves, they have the mentality that this is their chiefdom, right? That once I come in,
that's why we went wrong.
I have to purge. I have to bring my people, because also I have security when I know I'm bringing people who also they are leaning on my side. They're leaning on my policy.
No, there's something
I wanted to hear from Professor, because I think that has been the mentality. No. You will come.
This legal issue you are saying. The people the governor recruits are the people that he's allowed by the constitution to bring, and also to CECs, chief officers, and maybe personal or whatever. Those are the only people that.
What is he alluding to them?
No, what I am saying is this. like any government, even the national government, President Ruto is allowed to remove the people who used to work for Uhuru, but we should have a threshold that is higher. If you are going to allow him to have, let's say, 12 people from his inner cabinet, so be it. Those are the people who will come and talk to going down when you are cascading the governance structure going all the way, so that we maintain a public service which keeps on moving, which handle their policies that are going to be 2 years. There are others which are going to be 4 years. There are others that we are going to take policies in the county government which take 20 years. And yet when a governor comes in, what does he do? He fires everybody, he cross-transfers everybody, he picks illiterates and mongrels, people who never went to any school, and he puts them in departments.
That's not true.
These are the people these are the people who give devolution a bad name.
It's characterized badly. Professor, say the truth. Professor on this thing.
Professor, you need to take about the loss of institutional memory, continuity.
So what that's what we have done nationally and locally. The leadership quality is basically going down.
Thank you.
We have destroyed the civil service because we infuse. You see what used to happen before? You won't be employed as a DO, and then you rise through the ranks and become a PS.
Yes.
So now I can get out of this table and become a PS. I've never worked in the civil service. Now you do that also in the counties. You're messing the whole thing up. And that is why auditing this document, it may be extremely useful. Initially, what should have happened, in my opinion, you know, they put 2030 rule. The idea was that you can get expertise from outside the county. Okay? That is not happening. Now, why is that not happening? The security provided to the governor, either by his clan or whatever, he is able to share it himself and actually do the firing he's talking about. And do the employment, the illegal employment he's talking about, which is also in sometimes done at the national level. I mean, we have a cabinet position which is not in here. Okay? So, auditing this document right now, at this time, after 15 years of implementation, it may make a very good idea. We audit it because I think the structure of the county, the way it should have been started was the MCA should have been elected. Then governors should have been appointed through public's competitive process, public service, appointed by the president, confirmed by assembly. Then it's sent there, so that in Omambe, you have a mayor as a governor. So even if the idea of this privilege will be less, because these MCAs will be looking at this fellow who has come from Nairobi, because he's an overseer now.
But that was the spirit of the Constitution.
No. That what he's describing is not the spirit of the Constitution.
No, I'm saying it's not the spirit of the Constitution.
Appointed governors.
No, not appointed governors. I mean, the spirit of devolution was you're crisscrossing. That it essentially doesn't have to be.
What we should have done.
If I'm from Busia, I have to be the governor of Busia.
Yeah, exactly.
You extract a lot of tribalism.
You're provincial administration, not devolution.
So what I'm saying, no. We should have done, we have entrenched now clanism and tribalism. What we should have done for 25 years until there's enough maturity.
Yes.
For people to understand, you know what he said about the people knowing the money belong to them. So there was something I noted when I was a commissioner between Nyeri and the Meru. You go to Nyeri, the roads are fantastic. You go to Nyeri, if the church is built well, if you see the office is better than Meru. So I was talking to women, I asked them, what do you people do, which we don't do? One of them saying, when the money comes from Nairobi, and the lands here, it is our money. We observe it. Other people think that is in government.
Money.
Yes. So they don't control it. So until we mature to understand that when the money comes from the national is our money, we needed to have a system that as we separate the powers. That's why I'm saying a governor from employed, just like we used to have provincial commissioners, but then with an assembly to control that for a total of 25 years. Yes. Only 5 elections would have been done in better in utilizing the resources. Because what we are developing was resources, remember? Was not necessarily employment.
No.
We wanted
was not power.
Not the power. No. We developed the resources. That's what we are developing. So we went wrong when we designed that to have this for the 70 presidents.
Prof, we devolved power That's why the Constitution says the supremacy of the sovereignty of Kenyans is shared. So it is devolved.
Yes.
Even up to the county.
Yes.
To the county assembly and the county executive. We devolved. We intended to devolve power. We can't run away from that one. Number two.
In other words, you're saying it was intended that we were to become more tribal and more inward.
I'm coming to that.
It was
this
intended.
thing about tribalism is our reality, and we must live with it. Trying to circumvent it by telling me that you'll post a Mumeru in Kakamega and to become a governor, you're wasting time. Just like you want to tell me. The other day, you saw what was happening in Bungoma, where headmasters are being flushed out of schools just because they are not local. Yes. So this thing about tribalism is so true that even you, I want to accuse you directly, but I might be wrong. But let me not use you. Even us, while we are sitting here, given a choice of a driver, given a choice of a security person,
Yes.
given a choice of a personal assistant,
Yes.
we only go for people from so that these are things that
He's
are so
saying
true.
he only goes to his clansmen.
No, I said, I said, me, I don't have any.
Which I don't.
I'm not.
Which even
I'm not-
very surprised I have never.
I don't have anybody.
Prof,
And as a commissioner,
that
and
argument,
yes. From
Prof,
Borno
wait.
community, not
This
the Meru.
argument you're making shocks me.
Yeah.
Because my PA, who I've been with for the last 16 years, is Kikuyu, and she's a lady.
Yeah.
My driver, it is now I've gotten a Kisii. My driver has been Luya, Kalenjin, and has been Luo. Okay, my bodyguard. You see what?
you're in the minority.
No. I want to disband that argument. What you should be telling me is very simple. The Constitution had good intent.
Yeah.
Yes.
The intent was that we are supposed to try and we are legislating harmony and getting together.
Yes.
But the point I'm making is I don't want you to give up on me yet. You are giving up on this country.
Not yet.
You are actually telling me that when
It is so
President
baked in the system.
when President Ruto is employing Kalenjins on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I should accept that as a basic standard operating procedure of all politicians.
No.
And it is not.
I'm saying,
It is
I'm
not.
saying,
Could we take
I'm
a short
saying-
break, then we circle
I'm
back
saying
with
there's
that?
a script.
What I'm saying is that is the wrong script.
Yes,
that is
okay,
the wrong
that's the wrong
script.
script.
That is the script.
Yeah, but there's a script.
We need
That
to
is the
reject it.
script I don't want for my country.
Now that's what we need to discuss.
That is the script I don't want.
Let's review the script when we circle back. And of course, we want to look at what is happening at Kemsa right now with the purge that is ongoing. MPs are really coming up with another solution that we hive off procurement function from Kemsa. Will that bring any discernible difference within Kemsa? We'll take a short break.
KTN News. Get the whole story. For an exclusive 3-time skin effect, try Nivea Men Deep powered by black carbon. For 48-hour deep moisture, a fresh skin feel, and a long-lasting masculine fragrance, make an impact with Nivea Men Deep Impact Body Lotion. Your Wealth in 90 Seconds, brought to you by Standard Chartered Priority Banking.
I'm Paul Njoki, Head of Affluent Banking and Wealth Management, Kenya and East Africa.
Could you be increasing your wealth in different economies and currencies?
Yes, of course, and I will show you how. Our global investment outlook is showing us that at this moment in time, the markets have an opportunity for clients to capture a higher level of yields than has happened at least in the last 10 years. At Standard Chartered Priority Banking, we connect you to global fund houses that help you to invest in foreign currency bonds, in foreign currency mutual funds to help you earn in hard currencies at returns of up to 10%. My team of relationship managers, investment advisors, and insurance advisors are here to support you, to help you to achieve your life goals.
Join Standard Chartered Priority Banking today. Email prioritybanking.ke@sc.com. Wealth expertise made to matter.
We have brought to 470 victims of those adversities or harsh weather conditions, blankets, mosquito nets, food, being rice, maize, and a little token to start them off.
Most of the viewers knows you as a gospel artist.
Wasudina jificha kisana mana nikwe mbali na visa mi
2023 I am taking over. Kindly introduce yourself and give us your story.
Angela Monani Musioka.
Lawrence Nyaganjue.
Naitwa Justina Siokao.
Welcome to today's episode.
My full story, full.
I formed a very strong drinking company.
I became blind 2008.
When I was in that bed, I felt the numbness.
Sharon alikuwa mtoto wa aina gani?
Sina mtu wa kunitetea. Hata nikiongea ukweli.
Sasa ndo nilionanga mwili nikaona kumbe mama alipasa.
It was so painful for me to see myself in the streets of Nairobi after being married.
For full story, stay tuned.
KTN News. Get the whole story.
All right, you're watching Morning Prime. And Stano has drawn a very interesting cartoon today on this two-headed dog here on tax and contribution, a very big debate that we've been having currently here in the country regarding also the housing levy. Is it a contribution? Is it a tax? And Wanjiku seems to be on the sharpest edge of a dilemma, on the horns of dilemma here. There is a very big difference between the two. And there is also this issue of Kemsa, and all the editorial cartoon there. See, here is the problem. And you can see the pose there of goons who are marching on with briefcases, word of cash jutting out there. And they're saying the little rat is the problem. Well, recently we've seen the president really punching Kemsa, and the issue of procurement has become a very big catnip issue. Will that really change the running of affairs within Kemsa? Knowing that even most of the medicines that have been distributed in the countries, you find them in personal, chemists and pharmacies. Level Kemsa,
yes,
there's a lot of fraud that has been going on logistically within Kemsa. There is also the issue of tax. Gentlemen, I need solutions for this tax thing. And you can see the president is being advised by who? Still, the posy of goons who are heading to, they've been given the red carpet there, heading to State House. Who are the people around the president right now? Is this goons, the posy of goons? These are the questions that are being asked. And this is what the amount that was paid in a tearing rush when the issue came up to the 4 days to August 2022 general election amid the slow business. For anyone who was not in the business of campaigning, it was raining money for a handful of contractors that will be also tackling momentarily. But we need to finish up with the issue of devolution, health crisis.
Okay, I will rush through the devolution, then I'll come and talk about these cartoons, because
yes,
I believe there's a history to it.
There is a history, of course.
I want to say this. For me, it's been really wonderful to hear my colleagues and my leaders here bring out the issues on devolution. I think we are now, it has reached a stage, and I hope the team in Parliament that is discussing the changes that we can make to the Constitution I think we now need to have a national conference on our constitution again, legitimately and genuinely. There are certain small things, if we fix them, it will get well. Number one, somebody mentioned to me that they don't understand why in Kenya we don't do a real-time auditing. You see, like now, the books that we are looking at the Senate, under the CPAC committee, we are at 2021.
Yes.
And yet we are at 23 heading to 24. That is a lie. We are cheating ourselves. We now must be in a position, this argument, and I've had it severally, and the Office of Auditor General is legitimately raising issues about they don't have manpower, they don't have the capacity, which is true. And yet, Kenya has money. We can employ another 1,000 auditors in order to save the billions which is being stolen, so that we do real time. The second issue, which was produced by Honorable Madam, the chair of the Governors Council, Waiguru, brilliant idea. She said, the reason why we are having pending bills is because we are given, we budget, money comes, but as we budget, we always inflate our budgets. As a result, we go and start giving out projects, assuming that the gap, the budgeting gap which we have, the money will come from donors, the money will come from somewhere, the money will come from own source revenue. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. And yet that doesn't happen. She said, can we stop the budget process, the whole exercise, at least 2 weeks before the deadline, so that governors and all people at the county and the county assembly, CIPA committee, PIC, PC, can look at, do we have the money in real time for us to continue with these projects, or do we cut these projects and use only what we have? Mm-hmm. That is what KERA does, and that is what KENA does. Point number 3, the last one. If we want to have our own source revenue, there are 2 things we must do. Allow KRA to collect the revenue for us. And if William Ruto is talking about, as president, and like me, I highly respect the gentleman, if he's talking about wanting this country to be changed in terms of our corruptibility, we must very quickly move on with spatial programming. I mean, so that we can now begin to use data to know who owns what, to know where everybody's assets are. There's nothing. All we have to do is protect that information, so that the government and you are the only individuals who can have that information. So that we now know, if you are coming to Kisii and you want to be an investor, even if you wanted today and you want to tell the governor you want to come and set up a factory, there's no land. And yet we are busy talking about we are going to start setting up places where we can start housing, where we're going to start small industries. Look at our national land policy. How did we mess it up so badly that we denied the right from the national government, that like in Tanzania, the national government makes a decision. In fact, in some places, there isn't even any compensation. They only give you compensation when you have suffered a direct loss from that action which they take. But the government always has a say. So long as you are able to be compensated, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But for us, all the land is gone, public land is gone, everything is gone, and we are unable to. And this is the responsibility of the counties. So unless we are able to have the data, unless we are able to do it the Rwanda way. Today, Dibal, on my phone, you can access the Ministry of Lands in Rwanda. They give you a portal. You access the portal, you can see the piece of land, you see who the owner is. If there's construction going on, you see it real time. Who did that in Rwanda? Kenyans.
A Kenyan.
So what is it with us Kenyans? Why is it that the simple things, very simple, look at our medical industry, the best hospitals, one in Goma, one in Burundi, and one in Rwanda, Kigali, all of them, who runs them? Kenyans. How are the hospital runs? Amongst the best right now in Africa. What is it with us? You put a Kenyan in Kenyatta National Hospital, you wait, in the next 6 months, there will be a scandal. In the next 6 months, Mama Lucy a scandal. In the next, what is it with us Kenyans?
Yes.
And yet when we go out there, we do the best.
You said we are good. We have done it for others. Why don't we
do it for ourselves?
So maybe that's the question.
That is my point.
It is China was also constructed and supervised by a Kenyan.
Dibal.
Yes.
It is our system, and I'm so glad to have
Not
this.
system.
No,
it is our culture.
No. The systems are built around culture and so on. Let me, because I'm having these 2 members of parliament. You know, and I want to tell you this because some of the problems we're having are really, really our own. You've talked about the national land policy.
Yes.
Session of paper number 3 of 2009, the national land policy, passed before the constitution. The new constitution says that it will be reviewed. The same thing said 10 years. Do you know, after the new constitution, the national land policy is sitting here. It is contradicting, it contradicts the constitution.
Yes.
And we are doing nothing about it.
Yes.
When we took over in 2010, when the new government took over in 2013, the first laws that were passed in lands were contradicting the constitution, but were agreeing with the policy. That's why there was noise between the National Land Commission and the Ministry of Lands. And that's why there was the amendments to land laws in 2016. So basically what we are saying is that we actually are very peculiar. We do not want to succeed because we just don't want to do things that is good for ourselves. So if we want to have the national land policy and we have it working, the members, you see, the national land policy that we have influenced what was in the Constitution of Kenya until members of parliament went to Naivasha and began to change the thing, including chapter 6 and other things, so that you have a mongrel. This thing is
thank you.
Is done in a hurry, and some parts are not agreeing, and because we are in a hurry. So even as we talk about amendments,
but we need to peel back the layers on why also the president took this particular move. If he was overplaying his hands, saying that this particular role should be, relegated back to just a moment, because what has the National Lands Commission been doing, especially on compensation, looking at SGR as well? You were talking about over budgeting. For them, even for the compensation, mostly what has been alluded to, I do not have the facts right now, but some of the corruption that has been there has been so rife with the issue of compensation. We've seen judgments being made from the courts.
And I'm not in any way defending the values or defending the corruption in National Land Commission, because there is and there was, whether it was the previous commission or this current one. The point I'm making is this, that if it is not working, we need to fix it. Yes. Fix it in a way that works.
Yes.
Not in a way that I think is fit for me. You see, now when you have a pronouncement by the president in wherever he was, because he was not in an official function, it was a church or something, that pronouncement has far-reaching consequences, because first it's made outside, and two, it's not made with due process. So when you start making these amendments to the Constitution and you're using that pronouncement as a basis for this amendment, you get it wrong. So where am I coming from? I'm coming from a place where, and Mheshimiwa started by saying that we need more people in the Auditor General's office. I don't think so. We just need to change the design. It's possible to use auditors, general auditors, and there are many. Auditors, Kenyans, firms, PWCs, there are many auditors today who just need to change the design and make it possible for the Auditor General to hire local auditors to audit local programs. Bring it to you, you approve it, because then you are the Auditor General and the standards of auditing are the same, as long as the same parameters are in. If you bring in people, they'll be as inefficient as they come. So if you want to solve the issue of audits, you are lucky we are now talking about 2021. In the past, the current parliament used to talk about the previous parliament's, the previous government's budgets. Now we are at least better than we speak. Let's come to the issue of county governments and whether they are inflating and whatnot. It is true that governments all over plan first and then go to collect. Okay? They plan first on the assumption that the revenues will be collected and that the other gaps will be filled. That's what counties are doing, and that's what the national government does. But it's also true that the plans you have and the estimates that you have and the revenue that you have sometimes does not match. So the essence is that you don't commit an LPO unless you have a budget line. And even if you have a budget line, you don't commit it unless you see the funding in the stream.
Yes.
Because the mistakes we're making are this, and this is part of what I think we need to review about the controller of budget. When we decide on how we need to make counties functional, let us make the controller of budget a national person, let them work on the national government. Let's create another controller of budget for counties. Here is where I'm coming to. The resources in counties ought to be managed by, again, you can do it centrally, but by somebody who is simply focused on it. Right now, what the controller of budget is doing, and you saw it says, when the cabinet secretary calls and says, put money here, she puts money there. She didn't say that when a governor called and told her to put money here, she put. In other words, you have a system that can easily be manipulated and therefore can serve more functions on this end than on the other one. Let us create, in fact, earlier on we had said, or rather there were conversations when we were doing these conversations around the Constitution, that the Public Finance Management Act national should not be the same one that is also used for counties. But the counties ought to have a Public Finance Management Act that then regulates them in a way that is standardized. So that you separate county issues from national issues, but you have a convergence.
Thank you.
Convergence at the county, convergence at the
All
national.
Right. We wrap up on the counties.
Let me wrap up. Let me just say this. We want to change Kenya. It is us, Diban. Even us seated here. You see, there's no way I'm a Kenyan when I'm in Europe, I'm performing, and I come in my country, I sit on the same chair, I become a CEO, and you tell me I cannot change the structures? No. It is us. Kenyans, we have just decided. You see, we started looking at, so professor is just making money. How is he making money? And he's just sitting on the same chair. And I started. The appetite in this country from the top, from the time of the regime of Uhuru, to now, there have been an appetite of richness and greediness. That is what is choking Kenya.
Beyond human comprehension.
Kabisa. Nobody cares. We care about money. We will kill you because of money. Kenya. And that is affecting us here and affecting those who would wish to go, genuine Kenyans who are just going to work abroad. They are finding it very difficult for the same thing. That is why we have lost the MasterCard program in Canada. Why? We took kids who their parents are able to afford. They became now the poorers who are going to McGill and other universities. They realized they cancel. And not just that, we are going to lose so many things. Greediness of money, corruption that is within us has to come out of Kenya for it to come back to its. And even people are just wondering, what is wrong with us? But when we go out, we are the best. That shows you there is a problem in there. It is not the system. Because when I go there, I find a system and I create that system. It is you in an office who creates a system to work. Right. It has to work for everyone. And so even as we look at this, even look at the budget. So today we want to change in the taxation bill, in the finance bill, we have this definition of a person. You imagine we want to change that to mean that you, when your nephew or your father, or leave your father, your nephew or your niece decides not to pay tax, until now the government should come for you. At you are liable. That is the worst thing you can put in. Yes, there is. The definition of, that's what I was saying, read the bill. Definition of a person. That one I want to tell the government, it is wrong to create a liability to take it to someone else. Very unconstitutional. The other thing in the bill, which I want us to ask ourselves, how do you take tax turnover? You've agreed that you have expanded from 1 million to 50. So now you've taken this 0.5, which is 500,000. So you have expanded the bracket. Then from there, after expanding the bracket, you come again and you remove it from 1%, you've taken it to 3%. It is unfair.
It is unfair.
You either return it to be back to 1%. You expand, yes, to get more taxpayers, but retain it back to 1%.
Right. Could we just hear also from what the Okoa Uchumi campaign had to say regarding this, the civil society groups and the Okoa Uchumi yesterday held a press conference. We just want to listen to that briefly, and then we discuss it, the finance bill, which of course you have a handy opportunity to weigh in as far as contribution is concerned. Is the data lapsed yet for the public participation on the finance bill? Right, let's just listen to what they had to say yesterday, and we'll delve into that as well, and look also at Kemsa.
Then we know that's okay, fine. I'm a good. You know the struggle that they go through. What makes those who will be looking for their it is voluntary. Because the question is that it's not...
As an increase of VAT rate on petroleum products from the current 8% to the proposed standard rate of 16% is opposed. We note that an increased rate of VAT on petroleum products would increase the cost of production and worsen the current state of the high cost of living.
This amount of costs are actually going into the production costs of every manufacturer. So basically, the government wants to, it's almost double speak. You want to increase trade, but you are hamstringing the same trade that you want to do dealing.
How dare they, come and tell us that they want to tax us more, and yet they're filling up those government offices, and they're not even sure about all those people that they're employing. What are they doing? We've been focusing on the 52 CASs, who now I understand are in office, and yet there's a court case. That's wrong.
You have taxation regimes which are very punitive and very little progressive, the way we have seen. It leads to a lot of human rights violations. So we are calling upon the people of Kenya to completely oppose this kind of policies.
All right, that was the civil society yesterday on Okoa Uchumi Initiative. You can see this posse of goons that I was alluding to earlier being led to status right now by Arab Singh, as you can see. Professor, you want to just weigh in on that briefly?
Yes.
Yes.
I just want to say that it's very hard to understand what the direction or what the Kenya Kwanza government is doing when it comes to taxation. Because there is just a basic rule of taxation. Taxation is either meant to promote something or to undermine some behavior. Now, they are neither promoting
or curtailing.
This is what I don't understand. In an economy like ours right now, which is basically in a recession, what we should be doing is lowering taxes so that Kenyans have disposable income. But the more important is having a clean plan on energy. Because remember, our companies, manufacturing companies, which are supposed to provide jobs, are moving to Ethiopia, they are moving to Tanzania, they are moving to Rwanda because of cost of energy. But we continue to ignore that, to ignore the cost of energy. And this energy, the government, the Kenyan government, has used the energy to distribute money from Kenyans to individuals. And nobody is addressing that. It's the question of the IPP, independent power producers. That is just daylight robbery. Money taken from the people of Kenya to individuals, we don't want to touch there. Because those individuals control government. I mean, they control the Uhuru government, they're controlling this one, I can guarantee you. So, if we are not going to get a handle on energy, it does not matter how much taxes you are going to levy. And then look at the consequences of, for example, if this one, whether tax or the 3%, look what it is going to do. People to avoid the taxes on NHIF, the 3%, they are going to be hiring their relatives. They are not going to be hiring somebody who they have to contribute that money. What you have done, you have crowned small businesses. You have crowned employment.
You have killed SMEs completely.
Totally. So what we are saying here is it's very hard to understand what the economists around the president. I think we have overrated our economists. if the advice is actually coming from them, because it does not make economic sense. Even this housing thing, who told the government that I want a house? What if I want to rent the rest of my life? Should I not have that choice? If I work in Mombasa, who says I want a house in Mombasa? I want to retire at home. Will they go to my village in Meru, build a house? This government is unable to provide the schools. Just walk to here. You know why we have all this in Jammu in Nairobi. People have never actually understood. It's because people are moving the children doing to this. We have not localized, provided schools in these villages, in Nairobi. And this is the city. But we want to imagine that we can build you houses. There is a problem, okay? There is a big problem with how we are thinking. And I think unless we really retrace we may sink this economy in the next
we
2
will.
to 3 years.
Yes.
Deval,
Okay.
There's a point I wanted to make. Number one, and again, another brilliant idea in terms of if you wanted to have audits done, we could actually have local auditors in local counties to be given contracts, government contracts, presuming that you'll get the best and there will be no corruption and everything. But the point I'd raised about auditors with the Auditor General's office is because that's what they have told us. And we have always denied them money. Why? Because they are auditing us. So members of parliament, when they are told we need to give the Auditor General money, we say no. The second issue I want to come to is what Professor has said. You don't have to be a space scientist to see what is happening in our country. And this, you can pick it from the grassroots level, which is we're talking about the ward. You know, we have got no planning for the ward, then you come to our townships. I am so worried, and the problem that we have in Kisii is not because of the current governor or the government now. Nobody thought that Kisii needs to be planned properly. So right now, you have got 80,000 border riders in the center of town. You have women who are selling vegetables in the middle of town. You have Mutumba dealers who have come in the middle of town. And it's become normal. It is going to be very difficult to remove those people from the center of that town. And yet, if clever people had sat before we came in, they would have cleverly come up with a strategic plan on how you remove the border riders, on how you leave some of them to work, on where you put your taxis, on where you put your bus park, on where you put your market, and where you put your Juakali things. All right? And this is the challenge.
Doesn't seem to know how Kisii is. There's only one street.
There's only one street. So if an accident happens, then God help you. So where we are talking about, these are the challenges we are now facing. That Kenyans, and my sister has said it. Why is it that when we do things for other people outside Kenya, we are excellent? Yeah. We are brilliant. If you see what Kenyans did in Rwanda, and I lived there for 10 years, it's mind-boggling. Road designs, conference facilities, the top architects.
In Botswana,
some of them are here in our National Assembly.
And even
some
Zambia
of them
now
are designing the conference facilities
fantastic
for Kagame. You look at the facility, you think you're in Europe. When we come here to Nairobi,
to the airport,
you saw the airport. You've seen the state house in Dodoma and the house that was done in Machakos, the state lodges. Dodoma is 220 million. In Machakos is how much? 375 million. All right, and that can sweeten the deal for them to make their money. Over the issue of oversight in the county and bringing excellence and performance is none of their business. Until we get that mentality off our leadership, we are going to be in that circle where we have refused to move out of.
Thank you.
Now, I finish, let me just say this, and I want to speak now to my CS transport. You enter the airport of Kenya, and you look at our airport, and you look the one for Zambia, both of them were built by Chinese.
Yes.
The prices are just very, even Rwanda. And you ask yourself, what went wrong to the Kenyan one? And why are we still in a tent? So I want to beg the CS, can we come out of a tent and now give us the other wing to be a proper airport like any other in Africa today, because it cannot be. Kenya is the pride of Africa. And when you walk into that airport, first of all, even the workers themselves, they don't care about that. It is filthy. Yani, cleaning is also an issue. So you can ask yourself, just to clean and make, it can be as small as it is, but can it be clean that when you walk in, you feel, yes, you have people who are cleaning it. The person who was given the tender for the workers to clean is the same one for the last 10 years. The person who was given tender for cooking for there has been there for 50 years. Then you're asking yourself, are we okay in our country, Kenya?
When you are going to make progress, when you can produce a Sankara, Captain Sankara, when you can produce a Nyerere, when you can produce a Mandela, or even Magufuli, I can assure you will
By the way, we need a serious
one.
But we have one. But anyway.
Well, which one is
all right.
I would rather even a Kagame.
Just a moment. I want us, because I think also time is ticking away from us, and we have to look at Kemsa with this new development that the health committee is mooting.
No, that's
if we have a procurement function from Kemsa, will it make any difference?
None.
Because are you transporting the
difference.
culture that is there to us? Because you talked about culture, that it's this issue of corruption is so backed in the system, it is so hard to unravel it right now.
Is it the battle?
What will happen if we hive off the function to another agency?
Is it the first time we have heard about
Is it?
scandals
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Kemsa? No.
No.
Yeah. Is it because of procurement? No.
No.
So what do? We avoid the
It's
real
not
issue.
because of, but the issue has been always
That is a
procurement.
diversionary.
Procurement of people.
Procurement is an agent.
It's an agent.
But agents, just like dogs, have owners.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a person. You see, the problem is, and again, I'm back to my good MPs here. When there's so much money at national level, we must find a use for it. When there's so much money in agriculture, we must find excuses of how we are going to lease land in Zambia, because we need to spend it. We don't want to put it where the action is, where our extension farmers are, where extension services are, because we are not conceptualizing how that money is. Kemsa is the biggest supplier for counties. Okay? Medical services, all medical equipment. As we speak, the biggest shortcoming of counties in health in counties is medical services in terms of drugs and whatnot. Even PPEs and whatnot, you saw when they were procuring, how scandalous the whole thing is. Is this a megamoth? Is it a too centralized system? Can we decentralize Kemsa? Can it be something that is actually made functional for purposes of county governments? How do we get that? We must think about it, because Kemsa does both national functions and county functions. How well does it do it? Disastrously. NHIF, how well does it do it? Disastrously. So when I hear my good friends here saying, well, you know, what is it that we do outside there? When I was talking about a system, you see where systems are working like in Rwanda, you dare not joke. You saw those Kenyans who are busy stealing insurance and whatnot, and whatever they were doing with that money. The system caught up with them in the US. Here, you can do whatever you want, and you will never be caught. And even if you are caught, chances are that we'll make you the chairman of KRA.
Exactly.
Chances are that we'll give you even another role. So that today when we are sitting here and saying what, just look at what we do to public services. If you take somebody who has a case, somebody who KRA is investigating, and you make them the chair of the... What have you saying? What have you said? You have slapped us in the face, pap, that you guys, what do you think? And then you come out and tell us how you're going to finish corruption. You see, this thing about Kemsa, this thing about KEBS, we're just settling scores. Settling scores. We have been in court, my friend, with the things that never go anywhere. LBDA case, this GAA case, where you bundle about 30, 40 people in court. First of all, as lawyers, we are about 20. And each of us takes our time. One witness, after 5 years, we have only gone to 4 witnesses, and you have 50 witnesses. Tutafanya for 10 years, for whatever it matters. In other words, do you really want to succeed by bundling 30, 40 people in court? Tell me one person who is responsible. They are not arrested. You know, the LBDA, the building is there. Whether the building is there. KRA is one of the tenants in LBDA. There's a case in court saying government lost 4.5 billion. In the meantime, most of that money was borrowed by the contractor. It's attracting interest. It will go to 5 billion, it will go to 6 billion, and Kenyans will pay. So we have a systemic problem. We have a cultural issue. But more importantly, it does not bleed, it does not hurt us to fleece the public, to do wrong things, because nothing gets done. You can be charged and you'll be in court for 10 years, and there'll be another regime, and you'll be released.
Even if it's contaminated sugar right now. Because you say solution is with us. You know, I was just thinking, I was thinking yesterday, Prof, if you may allow me, and I remember the remarks by Sam Walton, when he said that, you know, the customer is the most ruthless employer. He can decide to shut the entire organization simply by spending his money elsewhere. If we have a systemic problem even with our governance, I'm talking about the contaminated sugar. This is not the first time we've been talking about it. Someone was suggesting if we call on all Kenyans not to purchase sugar
at all,
because of the health risks, I don't know, the contamination, will that bring sanity within the industry itself?
It will.
That we say, okay, for the next 2 weeks, of course, I know Martin Olo will have withdrawal symptoms and shakes because he's not taking sugar, right? But at least, you know, I think your pellets will develop new tests after 2 weeks again, and you do away with sugar.
You will do away with it.
We can actually do it. With cancer. And we say we have had it before. It is here with us. Why can't we not take sugar?
Yeah.
You know, I think we should be a divisor to the opposition. This is the thing the opposition is supposed to be doing. When the deputy president said we have a limited liability company, that was a reason to go for taxing boycott for those who don't have shares.
Of course.
Okay. Now, there's a sugar thing. If these people are to come out and tell people, kindly don't buy this thing, don't buy any sugar because you can't know which one is contaminated and which is not, it can work.
Yeah.
The accountability part from ourselves, which is missing. We don't know how to hold our leaders to account.
Yes.
Okay? We are not very creative also for those in the opposition are not very creative in manipulating or in using the mishaps which are coming from the other side. They don't use it well.
No.
The mistakes being made. Okay? Even in circumstances, they go to the extent of disrupting the opponent when he is making the mistake. Because there is a dictum that don't interfere with the opponent when in the process of making mistakes. Let those mistakes be conclusive. Then when they are conclusive, then you ride on them to show that I will do better.
In fact, that is why I've been saying, let us pass this bill.
Yeah.
We are in the opposition. What are we complaining about? Kenyans voted for William Ruto.
Yes.
Pass the bill, let the Kenyans face
Let them
so that people can know choices have consequences.
Yes. But you see, also those people may lynch you again.
Which one?
They may
Because
say
we have to agree with these people. We have to tell our people that, listen, Ruto came in as president of the Republic of Kenya. There are people who are celebrating his candidature and his win.
Yeah.
We are saying we may not accept with that, but let us agree as we have agreed. He's the president now. He's making decisions. Make the bed, sleep on it.
Yes.
And
let Kenyans themselves now wake up one day, a million of them, and enter to look for him.
Not just sleeping in his own bed.
Because some people are joking about these things. When we are telling people, some of there are things we are seeing happening here. This thing is going to torpedo the confusion we have. This thing is going to break out devolution. People say, it can't happen. Let it happen.
We will all wake up and change the can. It might go back now to the better because we will be able to sit down on the table and do it. But for Kemsa, these are two things. You know the most sad part with Kemsa money? 80% is donor money. It comes from the US. And the rest is Kenyan money. And for us to say, I agree we devolve Kemsa. Yes, you can have the central team, but let the whole equipment team and go down to the counties. Even let them have their own. Let us have it devolved, and so you have a Kemsa that deals with regions. You don't need to devolve it completely to every county. You have to do it per province, the way the old provinces were.
Regional blocks.
Regional blocks. Have a Kemsa there, so that, and then have a system. Go and automate the system that shows very well. In hospital in county A, we have spent our drugs. The code was this. We took all this and this and this. We have spent. It even shows, the system will show you, you took these drugs. They are about to expire. Have you finished? Or are you about to finish? And if not, you need to return because you are about to. Let it have a system, an application, and they are there. That's how all other countries work.
Run their outfit.
They don't do it kijuakali, that you come, sign a document.
You know, the Kenyans would do this thing very well.
But they don't want to streamline the system, maybe because
the procurement
they want
team
to game the system.
You see,
you talked about land. Ardhi Sasa does not work. You know Ardhi Sasa? My friend.
You remember the Kemsa during the COVID?
Yeah.
You remember during the COVID, these young people who register the company in
today and tomorrow they have suppliers.
And they are suppliers, 4 billion, the kind of money where you suppose in a tender to produce 5 years of statement to show that you are capable. Those things were overlooked. Somebody says he heard noise. I think she was saying she was passing there, and there was a noise. And then she went to find out. Then she was told, if you fill the form, you go fill the form. What is happening in Kemsa is what is happening to the country. We don't do anything for Kenya unless we have a personal interest.
Yeah.
It's simply corruption.
Corruption. All right.
As I finish, Dibal, on the army, you see, I was in Kaloleni. There's a very big barracks there. How I wish that when the barracks are within the counties, these issues of agriculture, why can't they just go lease the land, because they normally do agriculture.
Kaloleni is in Mombasa.
It's in Mombasa.
It
is just here in Mariakani here, as you enter, so it's within Kaloleni. And you find the whole area is dry, then they are green, they have water, these guys do not have water. If we are going to stay within the counties, if we have barracks there, can the government now initiate a process? People cannot just have land. There's nothing growing, and we are talking about unga. Who is going to bring you that unga if nobody is in the shamba?
In central Kenya, you see what happened to the colonizers when they were here? They don't do things irrationally the way we do. They identified the Giguyos in the central Kenya as a threat to the national security then. So they put all security establishment. You have almost, I think, 7 in Nairobi. You have 5 in Nakuru. You have them in Thika, in Ruiru, in Isiolo, in Meru, for his mobilization. Because they expected the challenge to the state to come from central Kenya. Now, after independence, the central Kenya is no longer a challenge to the state. So we have military occupying expensive real estate. When they are supposed to be in the borders protecting the country.
Yes.
This is why you go and disarm the Turkana or the Pokot. These people sometimes don't have weapons to attack each other. The Turkanas are getting attacked by Mariles from Ethiopia. The Pokot by Toposas Karamoja from Uganda and Toposa. So instead of us protecting those people and making sure that they are not armed, because we still maintain military establishment bases, security establishment within central Kenya. That needs to be
But if you had what Senator had said, that he's actually loading what the Ministry of Defense is doing with the
just remove
decentralized.
Decentralized, but let us use them for the better of the
release the real estate
to the country. Let them do something useful.
I need to just ask the simple question. I'll be remiss if we don't really talk about it. I can see time is not really on my side. But the appointment of Nuruddin Haji as the NIS chief, looking at Article 157, subsection 5, that raised this yesterday. We didn't have sufficient time to actually look into it, where it says the Director of Public Prosecution shall hold office for a term of 8 years and shall not be eligible for reappointment. We talk about security of tenure. And we can hark back to history, beginning with Philip Murgo, going to Kirako Tobiko as well. None of these DPPs have never ever cleared their term without interference. We've not had any resignation from Nuruddin Haji. Is the president overplaying his hands when he reappoints or appoints?
You see what you're saying?
Going with this particular article.
There's holding of office and there's vacating of office. The question is, would a person serving a constitutional term, such as the DPP, be removed by virtue of an appointment when he's still subsisting?
That's a question.
Holder of a constitutional office. And then you'll find that there is a precedent. Keriako Tobiko was picked to be a cabinet secretary when his term as DPP was
in force.
Yeah. And that did not raise issue. Is it right? Definitely not. Should Tobiko have been appointed so? No. Because then what you are simply saying is that this office is not independent and that it's not enjoying the insulation of constitutional protection. By you picking them, it means that you can, if you don't like them, you can actually just take them and put them somewhere, or they can serve knowing in their mind that should they do well, whatever that means, they can be moved to another one. But for me, the issue of Nordin Haji is perhaps now a very clear depiction from what we've said. Because Nordin Haji, from where we sit as lawyers, as DPP, he was never fit to hold that office in the first place. He has never prosecuted as a person any case. He has never gone to court on anything, leave alone even wearing the wig and appearing like a state counsel, even if he's having other people there for him. And then 3/4 of the cases we have that have come from Nordin Haji are cases that should never have come out of a DPP in the first place. The decision to charge is a decision that is done testing evidence and being able to say this is. Nordin Haji himself has said, he was forced, this guy interfered with him. He must have been a spy because he came from NIS. Let him go back there. If that is, but for us in the legal profession, it's good riddance.
Okay, can this appointment be challenged?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's being challenged.
It's being challenged.
It's not good riddance.
It's being challenged
by... Because now he's going to the most...
By Transparency International. But not on this note of this article. It's being challenged on integrity
on integrity grounds.
Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen the pleadings.
Yes. One thing you can say about Uhuru Kenyatta is that he destroyed independent offices by putting the weakest people he can find. Nurundi Jaji should have resigned the day he said he was forced to take it to court because incompetence is one ground for removal from office. And then you and this the lady, the director of, I don't know, there's a fellow on budget. Telling the parliament that I was forced to give, when she knows that to release the money, you need to release it according to the appropriation law, which has passed through parliament. And that person is still occupying office. Uhuru Kenyatta messed up independent offices by taking weak Kenyans, politically recruiting them before he even advertises. I don't know whether that's probably still going on because that was a Jubilee policy. And as long as you have these weak people, because institutions as good as the people manning them, we will continue having more Hajis who will take cases to court, then turn around and say, this one, there was no evidence when they are the same people who took that case. I hope that the court listen to the petition because I believe Haji should not be allowed to hold any public office after what he has done with all the corruption cases, which he himself took to court. And then he turned around and they said that they were politically motivated when he is protected by the Constitution. He is protected by law.
Thank you.
Not to take instructions from any quarter.
Thank you. All right. Senator, just your point as well, as we wind up, I'm going to just be preparing your headline thoughts, beginning with the Martin law.
Say that again, sir.
Your headline thoughts.
I think my honest observation, Dibal, is that where we are as a country right now, Kenya needs good men and women. Our country needs people who are going to start deliberately figuring out how to fix some of the challenges we are facing. Because the honest feeling I have right now, I have a strong sense of fear, the direction the country is taking. And I do not know whether we have the capacity, either the current government or many of us who are in politics, to get back to start steering the country in a given direction. But I hope that there will be many people of goodwill and good faith who will come together and we try and figure out the mess we are in.
Thank you.
Lastly, I want to, at a personal level, really beg President William Ruto. This thing of Uhuru is not as simple as it looks. It is not. And he needs to recalibrate on what he's going to do. I don't think it's too late for him and Uhuru to continue talking with Raila. Let them talk. If they talk, I believe there will be a middle ground which they will agree. But at this rate, if Uhuru comes and decides to get into politics, Raila gets into his maandamano and we get in the streets, the president cannot govern this country.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And of course, the resumption of Senate today, we've not even discussed the medical equipment.
Yes.
Yes, I think we'll pick it up next week after you table it in Parliament.
Thank
Martin
you.
Law, your headline
For me,
thoughts?
we are in a good place to develop as a country. If, and I'm saying this when these Azimio leaders are here, if Raila and Azimio had gotten in, maybe we would not have seen the difference. That they are out and Ruto is in and disrupting them and annoying them is good for the country.
It's good for the country.
Good for the country. Because this is when even Ruto, even Raila and Uhuru will realize how off the mark they were. I cannot countenance how the Raila Azimio government would have looked like. They would have gone to bring us some guys from the archives. And these guys have brought us some guys from nowhere. So I think it's a good counterbalance. So what we now need to do is now to think, okay, now we know what the dangers are. How can we think better? I'm hoping that Beatrice here will decide to run for presidency.
I
so
will.
that, because we need some.
All right, we'll have some guys from the Kenya National Archives being okay.
But let me just say this. For me, I want to just repeat, I appreciate indeed any Kenyan who is seated anywhere. You have an opportunity to change the country. But if you are there to make money and keep 20 cars in your backyard and to see things, materialistic things, then we have no place we are going.
An 18-bedroom house in
Yes,
Karen.
and have an 18-bedroom and make land that you can sell land that you would have just sold for 20 million, 100 million. That is where we went completely out of context for our country.
Thank you.
But I want to wish and to say the same thing. I think it is good. I like right now the way we are. So because there are those who have been there and they have been very comfortable.
Where we are.
Yes.
Thank you.
Where
All right,
we are
finally.
is a lesson to
Thank you.
learn, and it is good we are disrupting
Thank you.
systems of 50 years.
Your headline thoughts. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to
Briefly.
agree. I want to agree that as Kenyans we will move forward positively, we will prosper because we are not in the business of committing collective suicide.
At least you can commit alone.
All right, let's leave it at that. Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that very massive discussion that we had. Beatrice Elachi, thank you very much for your contribution this morning. I want to thank you, Prof, as well. Even on a short notice, thank you for coming through. Martin Olo, Dr. Martin Olo, thank you for coming through as well, even on a short notice. And Senator Richard Onyonker as well. Thank you for coming through. And just to alert you as well that the president is currently chairing the Kenya Kwanza Parliamentary Group meeting at State House, Nairobi.